Hello friends, welcome back. In my previous video, I have demonstrated how you will configure the persistent storage for your Docker registry, which is running internally inside the OpenShift cluster. In this video, we are going to explore how you will use the network. When you deploy the application, how many ways you can expose your application. So these are things we are going to discuss in this video. So if you remember, when you deploy the application in the OpenShift cluster, that application is going to be exposed by using the infra node. This is the based on routing, right? But there are couple of other ways which you can use to expose your application. So first is by default, whenever you are going to launch an application that is using the pod IP. So if you use here OC-get pod, so sorry, I don't know in which project I am in. So let's use OC-get project. I need to go in default, so OC project default, and when you get the list of the pods, you have the couple of pods, but they also have the IP address. If you do the void, means extra information, and you will see the pod has this IP address. So if you are inside the cluster, you can use here, for example, ping. This is the IP address of the pod. So yes, because I am on master and I'm able to ping it. But if you do this one from the node 4, as you know, node 4 is acting as my NFS. So if I do ping, no, it is not reachable. Why? Because it's not the part of the OpenShift cluster. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate those things. So keep watching this one. Let's get started. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a one project is called network test. Sorry, this not on this system here. So I'm going to create a one project is called network test, or I am inside the network test as of now. Let me deploy the one application. In my previous video, I have used the graphical console, but this time I am using the CLI. So I am saying OC new app, name of the app will be hello, OpenShift PHP. This is the image I would like to use, and inside this image I am using this sign or symbol to tell to download my git repo from this URL, right? It's just the same which you have used in my previous video from the dashboard. So it will use this builder image, will download the repo code from the GitHub, and then will create an image for you. So you can see the image stream hello has been created, build config created, deployment config created, service has been also created. You have to use this command to expose your service once it is done. So let me check my build logs, so I can use this command to get the details about the logs. So it is downloading the code and now is pushing into the Docker internal registry. So once it will be pushed, you will see, you can configure or you can check it here inside /shared registry, here Docker registry v2 repositories, and here you can see network test, and inside the network test then the name of the application is hello, because we have configured this persistent storage for the Docker registry in my previous video. Okay, so 87% complete. So it's pushing that image into the Docker hub, not on the Docker hub, actually it's on the Docker internal registry of OpenShift. Okay, so you can get the details of the build config, you can get the logs, you can get the DC. So once it is completed, we will check the DC. DC means deployment config, so it will give you the details here. So you can see here, hello is the name of the application, revision is 1, desired is 1, and current is 1 is running. So you have the pod, so OC get pod, and you will see it's running. If you do here -o wide, so it will give you the extra details. So this is the running pod, have this IP address, and this is the node. So this is the pod is running on this node. So if I do like I can use here ping, I think, and this is the IP address, it is reachable. I can use here curl http:// this, and I think it's running on 8080. Yeah, so here you can see, if you want to get the details, you can describe the pod. So there is an application running inside this pod, and which is running on port number 8080. So here this is the application content. So first thing, I can get the application accessed from or within the cluster by using the pod IP. But remember, if I try to do this one from my another system which is the part of this network but not the part of the cluster, you will not able to get the content, because node 4 is not the part of the OpenShift cluster. Right, let me try to do from here, http:// this 8080. Yeah, why? Because node 1 is the part of the cluster, and the same thing is node 2 as well. I can check it from node 2 here, and node 3 as well, I mean the infra node, right, but not from the node 4. So this is the first way of the application. So by default your application is exposed for the cluster. Within the cluster you can access the application by using the pod IP address. Okay, this second thing is, you can also get the application and its service name. So if you remember, pod always have the ephemeral configuration. For example, as of now you are using this pod. Okay, let me get the details of the pod again. This, and IP address of this pod is this. I am deleting this pod, OC delete pod, this name of the pod deleted, but you will see here it's going to recreate the pod again, you can see, but this time it has the different IP address. Previously it was using the IP addresses 10.125.0.17, but this time it has 10.131.0.12. So if your pod has been crashed or rescheduled on different node or on the same node, it's not guaranteed you will get the same IP address. So it will always change. How you will track this IP address? So we have the concept about the services, so you can use the service IP address always will be the static until unless you are not deleting this service, and this service name is hello, and it has the type is cluster, so it means it is also accessible from inside the cluster. So the concept about the service is, it is not the recommended way to access your application by using the pod IP address, because as you have seen, pod deleted, so IP address is also changed. So if you do this one, describe svc about the hello, so it will give you the details. This is the hello name, this is the name of the service, this is the project name, and most important part is this is the IP address, right? So by default is going to discover the pod and register those pods as a endpoint. So whenever you will do the access by whenever you will access the application by using the cluster IP address on the port number, whatever the port number is, it will forward your traffic to the port here, right? So let's do one thing. Let's try to access. So here you can see curl http:// and this is the cluster IP address :8080, and see I am able to access the application by using the cluster IP address. I don't need the pod IP address. And the same thing you can do from the node 1, node 2 and infra node as well, because all these are the part of the cluster. But the cluster IP address, or I can say the service cluster IP address, is not accessible from outside of the cluster. You can see the node 4 is not the part of the cluster, so this node doesn't have the access on this IP address because it's not the part of the cluster, right? Let me do one thing. How many pods we have running here? So it will say you have just a one pod. Let me get DC and let me scale it out. OC is scale DC/hello -- replicas 5. Yes, and now you can see the service IP doesn't change. And now let's see the pod. Yeah, it's running 5. And now see the description about the service. So it will say endpoints, all the 5 pods has been registered here completely, right? So this is the way. Let me scale down so I can put here 2, and now you will see only the 2 IP address registered inside the endpoint. Okay, so this is the second way. So the recommended way is don't use the pod IP address to access the application within the cluster. Use the service IP address to access the application, because service IP address always will be a static until unless you are not deleting that service. This is the second way. So here you can see the IP address, you can get it and you can get the list and you can scale it and check it, whatever. This is the service IP address here. Okay, there is another way you can expose your application. Like if you want to access your application from the outside of the cluster, right? So there is a way which you can use it. You can expose your service on node port instead of the cluster IP. So if you see here, you can see the type is cluster IP. It means it will get the cluster IP address, and that cluster IP address is accessible inside the cluster, not the outside. So let's try to expose this application over the node port. Okay, so here first you have to describe the application. Second, generate a YAML file. There is a recommendation in a declarative way to manage the resources, so you can use here get -o_YAML. So it will give you the declarative format. Just just store this YAML format into a file. This is, and open this file and you will have a declarative way. You can see here this is the cluster IP address, and here the type. This is the type. So by default is the type is cluster IP. Change that IP into the change this into the node port. So I am just changing this type to node port. Save and quit. And now use OC apply -f this file. Apply the changes. So the changes has been applied to you. Get the details about this. You can see and this is, you can see this time is the node port, and the cluster IP address is still is this, but doesn't matter is, and node port has been exposed. So this is your cluster IP. If you would like to access from here http:// the cluster IP address, you can mention :8080, yes, but you can also use it from the node port. So node port we can use it here, curl http:// for example 192.168.0.51 : and this is the port number, this one, sorry, 30737. see, this is my 52, means second node, node 2, yes, and this is my 53, yes, and this is my 50 also, master node. So you can access this application from any of the node IP address of the cluster. This is my node 4. Let me do from here http://192.168.0.50:303. I don't remember the port number, so let me check it from here. Not this. There's 30737. So 3737. Yeah. So this is the application is accessible from here. Even I can access this application from my laptop. Curl, there is no curl, so let me do sudo apt get install curl. Curl, and yeah, this is, but remember, if you expose your service over the node port, you cannot tell on which port or node IP. It will expose this one to all of the node. Doesn't matter your application is running on node 1, node 2 or node 3. You can access the application by using the any node IP address, which is not good, right? And it's not also recommended. So let me put back to the cluster IP. So what I need to do, I need to modify the same IP, same spec file, and put here cluster IP, apply the changes again. Type is cluster IP. Okay. Oh, okay. There is this. Okay. Do one thing. Let me regenerate this file again. Okay. And now open this file, and yeah, there is a multiple annotation has been added, and so on, so on, so on. So here we need to remove this node port, and here we need to remove cluster IP. Alright, save and quit, and now apply the changes. Invalid value may not be used. Oh, still there is something. Annotations, network test, cluster. This one, sorry. Still we have node port. Save and quit. Apply. Come on. Or we can do one thing, we can use OC get SVC, OC edit SVC, and the service name is hello. We can directly modify here, so I can put here cluster IP. I need to remove the node port from here, and that's it. Yeah, save and close. Yeah, and now get the SVC, and it is back to the cluster IP. And now if you check it here, failed. But if you check from node 1 by using the cluster IP, yeah, it's still accessible. So as I mentioned to you, it is not recommended to expose your service over the node IP or the node port. The recommended way is, if you would like to expose, so I'm saying like don't expose by using the node port. So how you will access the application from outside of the OpenShift cluster? So you can see here OC get root, right? There is no root. So what you can do, you can use here OC get SVC, and you can expose this OC expose service name is hello, and when you click enter this one, you can see here you will have the root. So this has been exposed, this, and you can access this one by using the name, but remember that we have to put this name inside our etc host file and need to bind this name with the with the infra node, and which has this IP address. This, save and quit. Now you can have the access of this one, and where is my browser, this one, and go to here and access the this one. Yeah, right. So you can access the application from OpenShift cluster by using the pod IP address, by using the service cluster IP address. You can expose your service by using the node port, but remember that it will expose the service by using the all node IP address and port number. Doesn't matter your application is running on node 1 and node 2, you can access the service or the application by using any of the node IP address and port number. And by default way is OpenShift provide you the router concept. So expose your service, it will do the application level load balancing to you, and it will expose the application by using the infra node and router IP address with HTTP and HTTP as protocol. Right, so this is the networking concept here. So you can have the node port and so on here. Up to here you can check OC get root service. If you remember this one, while creating this particular URL, we have not passed anything, we have just mentioned OC expose service. So by default this will expose your application by using this name. This is the name of the application, and dash your project name, then your subdomain name. If you would like to choose your name directly by using the application name and you don't want to use the project name, you can do that one as well. How you will do that? You can see OC get root, you can delete this root, and name is hello. And now while using OC expose service hello, you can mention here host name. I just want to put here hello dot excuse me, this one. I don't want to use the project name, so you can use like this, and it will give you, oops, I deleted this one again. Now go to etc host file, So let me change this, let me remove this project name from this this URL and save and quit. And now if you go here and refresh it, not available, just use this. Yeah, so you can also do this one. You can, by default, OC expose command use your application name dash your project name dot your subdomain name. So if you would like to use different name, you can also use that one. This is the way you can use to define the URL. I hope you understand the concept about the networking, how your application is accessible from within the cluster and outside of the cluster. I hope you like this video and see you in the next session. Thank you for watching.